Hello, everyone. Welcome back to season 9 of the Education Concierge Podcast. Look, every season we get better. I can't believe it's 9 seasons of me talking about education, disruption, dismantling. But now we're about empowering. We're talking to educators who are also entrepreneurs. We're giving you both sides. We're going to take you from where you are to make you better. And we all know we are in a new era in education. There's no manual, there is no script, no direction. But I went on LinkedIn and social media, and I'm finding people who've already been writing scripts. They've already been writing the narrative, and they already have a plan of action for us to follow in this we think is a new era, but really is not. Today, I have a powerhouse. She's not just a powerhouse in education, she's a powerhouse in media and leadership. Goes in, and you know me, I love a great turnaround person to come in, see what's the problem, fix it, but fix it in love, fix it in intentionality, and get it done. And then she turns around, cuts on the camera, and brings us media about education, about business, and to expose us to the people we need to follow and the people we need to look up to. So today, I have none other than Dr. Sharon Porter. I'm going to give you who she really is and how she really got here. So stay tuned. I want you to sit down, grab your notebook, grab your favorite beverage. You know, mine is going to be a Mountain Dew, and welcome you to season 9 of the Education Concierge Podcast. Let's go. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are listening to this, whether it's on audio or video, welcome. I would like to welcome Dr. Sharon Porter to the family. So y'all know, Dr. Porter, welcome. This is what we do here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm truly, truly honored to be here today.
I love it. So I'm a good old country girl from Lawrenceville, Virginia. And what we do in the country, as you know, in the South, when you're invited over to the house, you leave your shoes at the door and you go wash your hands in the guest bathroom, not in my kitchen sink. We're gonna, we're gonna fix you a plate and also give you a glass of cold iced tea that is sweet because unsweet iced tea is a blasphemy. We don't know why people do that. What are you doing? So can you introduce yourself because you are now family? Introduce yourself to the family and tell us how did you get started in education? Because we're going to get to the entrepreneurship side in a minute.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I am, as you mentioned, Dr. Sharon H. Porter, and I do wear many, many different hats. But educationally, I am currently an elementary school principal in Maryland, right outside of our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. 30 plus years in education. Started out as an elementary school principal and knew that that was my path since fourth grade. I made it up in my mind that I was going to be a fourth grade teacher in fourth grade. And so I really followed that path. Started out teaching classroom in North Carolina, relocated to Maryland. I taught there for a few years, here in Maryland for a few years, before I started seeking other opportunities in education outside of the schoolhouse. I've been an instructional coach. I've been a comprehensive coordinator. I've been an assistant principal. I've been a leadership development coach, a regional instructional specialist, middle and elementary principal. So it's been a journey, but I have loved every minute of it.
I love that. Thank you so much. And so what we do here is we say, let's get down to it. And so did you always, I love that you, because I was not that person who was like, I'm going to go in education. No, I didn't want to do that. But I love that you were like, since fourth grade,
Yeah.
you knew you were going to go in education. Now, as you are in education, we were just talking about this yesterday where we were saying that we can find people who have the hearts of education and we can train them, but it's difficult if you are easy to train, but you don't have the heart.
Yes.
Taking that phrase and understanding that, because I know you do, because you've been in leadership and you have hired and released people. Where are we now in that as we are searching for educators, as we are navigating the financial upheaval of everything that's moving forward in education? Where do we find the teachers or where are they and how do we get them back into the classroom?
Now, that's a very great question. We are absolutely struggling, at least we have been in the past few years, to find qualified people. And I do not mean credentialed, because there is a difference, but qualified individuals to be in front of our scholars each and every day. But it really, for me, means personal recruiting. I never, ever leave it up to my human resources department to bring me potential candidates to be in front of my students. I myself reach out. I have a wide range of network. And so I utilize that. What's the point of having a network if you can't connect it and make a difference? And when you need it. And so that's what I do. I've had teachers move from North Carolina to Maryland to come teach to my school. I've had individuals who retired from one system. I got them out of retirement to fill the positions in my school. So for me, I would say personal recruitment. You have to have relationships. This is a hard job. Yes, it does take heart, but this is a difficult job in the days and times that we are living currently. So a lot of people will settle for just a warm body. But any day of the week, I would rather have a great substitute that comes in and work and I can show them what to do than have a teacher who has the license to teach, but not the heart to teach. Because that's a hard thing to do, is to turn that around. And so even in the difficulty of finding teachers, because even in our schools of education and our university, our Department of Educations are dwindling. Because
Yes.
schools are dwindling. There are no candidates. And so you do have to be creative. And now look at other people who are in other careers who have the heart for students and can come into that classroom and come in under a conditional certification. In my school district, we have 2 years to get a full certification, but I would much have rather have those individuals than someone who went to school for education, but the heart is not there any longer.
Thank you. And I appreciate you saying that. Networking, personal recruitment. I do understand. I've been one of those teachers that I met that principal and I moved. I was like,
Yeah.
where if you could just send me where I could live, send me a list. And I moved across the country because I was like, I would love to work for you, work with you in the culture and climate of your school and work with these students because I knew I was like, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna grow. And every I told somebody I said 26 years of being in education, I only had one bad person. And that was the last year I was
Wow.
in school. And, and then I realized it wasn't just me, like she was a bully to everyone. And I thought it was just me personally.
Wow.
And the administrators above her listened to us and they let her move in a different direction from that. Yes. And I was like, I have been blessed. I have always had amazing administrators who were like, this is how we do it. This is why we do it. If you have something better, let us know and we'll look into it. And so that I tell everybody, it's like, that's a blessing because I've always heard the stories and I know that sometimes it doesn't fit or the leadership is not like you say, like you don't network and you don't get to know your people and they've had horrible stories. Thank you for that. So how when we're moving from there, can you tell me what do you do specifically? You can give me one thing or give me several things. What do you do specifically to dismantle horrible education? What do you do to dismantle when you see it? You're like, mm-mm.
Yeah. You have to speak on it. That, those what you hear about those courageous conversations, that's a real thing. And when you do see things in your school, you cannot overlook it and hope that it'll go away. Because hope is not a strategy, right? And so you really have to call the thing, and pull them. And you do it with grace, right? Number one, I'm not out to get anyone. I'm out to help you, help to empower you, and develop you if you so need it. But you cannot continue to do students any kind of way, staff, because attitudes will ruin, personalities will ruin a culture in a school. And so you have to name it. You have to pull them aside. And I actually unfortunately just had to do that last week. Yeah, the personality of the person was truly running everyone away. And it's a special needs class who needs 3 adults in the class. No one wanted to go in there. I just had to sit the person down, and because of the adult in the room, and I had to sit them down and say, "Hey, we can't do this. You're running the people away. They're coming out saying they're not coming back. How you are treating them, how you are talking to them." And so that's calling a thing a thing. And so it may be hard oftentimes because it may be even more difficult than that conversation, but you have to do it. So that's that courageous conversation that you hear about. You have to, or it will ruin your school.
Yes. And look, everybody knows me. I believe in the culture and climate of a school is essential. I remember one year, I will not say what district, but you know how you have are you coming back and we get the little,
Get
you
the
know,
instant form that we
and in this particular school, they were like, is there anyone you do not want to work with? No. No, it was like, I can work with anybody. Like,
wow.
we don't have to be friends outside of work to work together.
And that,
And my sister's a mental health therapist, and she always tells me all the time, Benita, the coworkers aren't your friends. And I'm like, girl, that's the y'all. She was like, they're not. She's like, I know y'all educators think they are. She said, and some of them are. And
yeah.
that's true. Some teachers I've worked with are lifetime friends. But you're right, that courageous conversation where you have to say, look, you can't put everybody in the sixth grade team, seventh grade team, and eighth grade team. Then you need to leave.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, you can't work on an island. That's not how it works. And you're right, especially when you're in a classroom where we know we have to have this many adults. We know it's not optional. Ma'am, sir, you can't be running away to help.
You can't run away. I'm talking teachers, substitutes, like, hey, no, you can't be doing that.
And I never gonna say it so because I taught at the school and the son came out and she dropped. I said, "Oh, you're gonna go take him to lunch." She dropped him off at lunch, and she had her purse. That's not unusual. It's to me, as as a female, go have my purse, go and drop my kids off, and go into the teacher's lounge to the bathroom. That's not unusual. And so when we got there, she dropped him off, and I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, come with us. The bathroom is in the teacher lounge." She said, "Oh yeah." I said, "I have a key. Come on. That's where I'm going." This woman used the bathroom, and she came out and she said, "So I'm gonna go." And I said, "Oh, okay, we have 30 minutes. So yeah, run out, grab some lunch, and come back." She said, "No." Okay. And I was like, "Okay, so if you could just check in the office and let them know that you're not coming back and they need coverage." And I sat down and I ate my lunch because it's above me now.
Right, absolutely.
I
Um,
I had my door open, watching the kids, making sure they weren't trying to get too wild with the substitute. And I said, "Did something happen? Do I need to go pull a kid?" Like, teachers would be like, "What do we need to do to keep her?" But then I thought about it, and when she said, "No," I said, "You know what? Stop by the office, honey. I'm gonna heat my food up. Thank you for the half a day you gave us. I appreciate
yeah,
that." And so she went, did whatever, and then my principal comes into this teacher's lounge. She's like, "I don't want to be in here, but what happened?" I said, "It's- we are not the demographics for her, and it's okay.
it's okay.
It's okay." And so I was like, what do you want to do?" And she's like, "Let me think of something." And of course, we ended up splitting up the kids because it's half day, And I said, "That's fine. I'll take 10. We're gonna make it work." Also, I had to say to the kids, "Hey, I'm gonna need you to work with me."
That's
And
it.
so we're talking about teachers, getting them into the classroom, at working with them, and then having courageous conversations because that is part of making sure we keep the teaching education and the teaching profession going. What is something that you have teachers who are like, I can't, there are two exits. Either I want to leave or I want to be promoted. And you decide which one you want to discuss. How do you or when do you start working with them? Is the first year teacher too early to say, let's start promoting you? What's your take on that?
Absolutely not. I really want to tackle both of those, but yeah, it's never too early because definitely first year teachers with potential. Oh man, what you can do with them. And you start early. I actually had a first year teacher a few years ago, mid year. I actually promoted to team lead, which is somewhat unheard of, but she possessed those attributes that was remarkable and that was needed. Because again, leadership, as we know, is not title or position, it's the impact and influence that you have. And
Wait,
so when
say
you
that.
show
I'm
them,
sorry. Wait,
so,
say that again.
right, it's not title or position, but it's the influence and the impact that you have. And anyone can show up as a leader, regardless of the years of experience, the title or position, regardless of all of that. And so it's never too early, never too early. And I push my teachers with potentials. And of course, you have those who come to you and want to do other things that you need to help them a little more. But there are certain people that come to you ready. And just because that's their first or second year doesn't mean that they don't have that opportunity to do more. And so I definitely push that. But I want to speak on those individuals who want to lead.
Hmm.
That is an easy one for me. I never, ever want anyone in my building who does not want to be there. It doesn't matter what the reason is. It absolutely does not matter. Because if your heart and your mind is not there, you're not giving your all. And these days, it takes your all and sometimes more. And so that's an easy thing for me. I'm like, how can I help you find what you need to lead? And it's in a good space. It's not, it's not a negative thing. But I tell my teachers that please don't ever be afraid to tell me that you want to leave for whatever reason it is, family, the commute, whatever it is. That's my thing. If you want to leave, I'm not in the business of encouraging you to stay. I'm just not.
Love that. And so since I've had this podcast, you maybe are like the fifth person that I've listened to about first year or second year or third year teacher becoming a leader. And I have to say that you guys have changed my mind because I had this old school thinking that if you haven't been in the class in 3 years, don't talk to me and I don't want to hear it from you. But listening to um, women and men in education and in leadership who are successful, and when I say successful, I mean you have been able to mentor others who are now successful in education. I'm like, that's why I made you repeat that. That was important. I needed to hear it. Others needed to hear it. And we need to leave that old thinking and mentality and start gatekeeping
Yes.
people to success. But also, I love what you say. You were like, I help guide them into where they're going. And if you need to guide them to the door or you need to guide them to some
Absolutely.
leadership, either way, you're helping guide. And I was that person. It was, I knew it was time for me to leave. Did not have the 100%. It was my 24th year, and I could feel like I don't want to grade no papers. I want y'all to, and I was like, okay, Lord, you are telling me to exit. I don't want to mess with another generation of students coming through and not give them 100%, but I need you to tell me where to go. So that leads me into my next question. Where is education going? What is the topic? We have AI over here. We have innovative spaces over here. We have stacking and dual enrollment. We have students that don't want to go to school because they think they're going to make millions on TikTok. And don't know if TikTok going to be here next month. Like all of the things. So coming from you and just what you're reading, like we say in the country, reading the walls and reading the signs, where do you think or where do you know education is going?
I'm in elementary school and have been now for several years. So I actually see the focus on whole child development, going back to that, because at one time we were looking at the whole child, we went away from it. But when I tell you the needs of these students beyond academic, I'm talking 4 and 5 year olds, pre-K and kindergarten students coming to the schoolhouse with mental health concerns and
Mhm.
social emotional learning needs. It is real. And you talk about climate and culture, that's a culture killer when you have students with those emotional needs. So I would say expanding focus beyond academic, and that includes mental health, social emotional learning, physical well being. You have to, as the saying go, you have to man slow before you can bloom. You have to meet those basic needs before any academics can kick in. And so for me, it's really going back to whole child development. Look at the SEL curriculums that are out there, trauma informed practices, wellness programs for students. This post pandemic trauma is growing our youth mental health concerns like nothing I've ever seen before. So the need for that, I mean, and I am being as most transparent as I possibly can because it is a serious need. Parents don't even know how to help the baby. So it's a real need. And of course, they bring to us what they have.
Yes.
So we have to look at that systemically because it's not enough happening. The help, the support for those students are not happening in the manner that it should and at the speed that it should.
Yes. Well, what do we like? I guess the question is like, where do we even start? Because one, thank you for letting us know that it's in the lower elementary and elementary that we also need this support for mental health and SEL and the support for the parents.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times we only focus on our middle school and high schoolers because that's where we see the majority of it. And when I say see, that's what's the media projects, and that's what's put in front of us the most. But clearly, sometimes, yeah, that this is something that's coming from elementary, like, and you've just been carrying it. And then maybe when you get to middle and high school, the outbursts are more, or the way you act out is more evident. I just don't. I guess where do we start? And we all know funding is where we start.
Yeah, it is. And, I am blessed to say that my school district actually, for the last maybe 3 years, have placed a mental health clinician in every school. And this is alongside the professional school counselor. And so that is helpful because they're able to actually get services outside of the school, and the mental health clinician is there and can
Okay.
meet with the student. But that's only if the parents agree to that. There has to be, at some point, a mandate when you see the outburst of students and the needs that they have, because some parents are in denial
Yes.
and are refusing the assistance, are refusing assistance. That is negligent. And at some point, the school districts have to support the schools and making sure that we make this a priority. And we can't just sit by if a parent does not agree to assessment. Something is wrong with your baby, and we have
Yes.
to find out.
Yes.
So I
Ooh.
think it starts there. Support systemically, especially when parents don't agree that something is wrong, that they point to the school saying it's the school's problem. No, we've got to do better than that. And so I think it starts there. Really supporting the schools when we cry out and say, "Hey, we need help. We need help for this student and the family," as you mentioned.
Family. And
Yes.
that's important you say that, because I'm here and was just in a meeting with a youth advocacy program, with a workforce program, with the school. Like, we're trying to all merge together. And they were saying that they have 12 free hours for students ages 12 through 16. But the 12 to 13, 14 year olds must have parent permission, or parents have to be notified. So they were, I think it was a word play there. My English major was like, "Did you say notified or permission?" Because that's not the same thing.
Right.
If they were 15 and over, they did not need the permission. And then what you just said, I was like, oh my gosh, especially, I tell people all the time, I can only speak from my Black female experience. My Black female experience, being a Christian woman, being from the South, and being in education. Black Americans, former, because the new generation is different,
It's different.
or the stigma behind mental health has been horrible.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, my parents put me in therapy. They were like, "You, yeah, you need to see somebody," because, and I had to my boyfriend got killed in middle school, and I didn't bounce back to my bubbly self. And they were like, "You need therapy." And as Christians, other families were looking at my parents like, "What?" We used to pray, and my mom and they were like, "We prayed, and the Lord told us to send her to a therapist." I was like,
Exactly.
"What is the problem?" And so you said something that I'm really going to think and investigate some more. Where I agree with that. Like, and it's not just when you're in education. I think we know, and I'm always want to put it out there for people who are listening that may not be in education every day. When we have a student, we're not talking about they acted out one day because maybe they were evicted that night and now they're acting out. We're talking about consistent behavior
Mm.
outbursts and problems in a variety of settings throughout the
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
now. We're asking for intervention, but we have to get parental permission to start testing for intervention. So that's what we're speaking about. And yes, we need to hold some people's foot to the fire and say,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna go over you," because we need to figure out, and we also have to keep the other students safe and trigger and trauma free.
Yes.
Because if anybody knows, and we've seen that video, unfortunately, of several children tearing classrooms up. And I've noticed people like, "Where are the rest of the kids?" And I was like, one of the first things we do is remove the
Gotta
others
remove them.
in a safe space. And then people were like, "Oh," I said, "because that's trauma." So then now we have to have the mental therapist with those students,
Exactly.
because it might trigger something else. And now we have 15 kids triggered. One. And that's what I always tell people. I said, I know people really don't know what happens on day to day, from 7, and I tell people 7 because that's when administrators and people get to the building. From 7 to 7 sometimes. You don't realize what happened. So thank you for saying that. And I'm that's here because I'm like, I need my mental health therapist, my sister, and my friends to be really advocating and looking at that. Like, how are we assisting, like you said, the child, the educators, and the parents, and coming together as the village to really save this child and help them work through. And if you're telling me you don't want it, I'm looking at you like, "Mm,
Exactly.
I don't know." Okay, I love that. Okay. So we have a couple of more and we're gonna finish up. Thank you so much. So I always ask people, what's one powerful takeaway you can leave with our listeners? And so our listeners run from parents to educators to people in the community. And sometimes people do all three and they say, parents, this is your thing. Or you can pick one group of people. And what would be one thing you leave to them as advice or encouragement?
You know, my heart is with leadership, so I think I'm going to go there. One practical piece of advice I would use is to reflect. I believe that reflection is probably one of the most underrated tools in leadership. You have to actually make time for reflection. I personally believe it's a leadership superpower that a lot of leaders have not tapped into fully. And so, and it's not just about looking back, but it's about looking inward. It's about learning forward, and it's about leading with even greater intention moving forward, right? Because that, to me, that's the whole point. Reflection helps you stay aligned with your values and purpose because we can get lost in the day to day. It helps promotes that emotional intelligence and help us as a leader decide with clarity. Because again, in the midst of everything that's going on, you can lose yourself.
Yes.
And so if you don't take that time to reflect, and then it also helps you catch those blind spots because again, when you're doing the work, it's certain things that you may not think of, but if you reflect back on it, that'll help you moving forward and you can course correct very easily the next time. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times, because this work is heavy, it's just heavy. And if we don't reflect, if we don't block off that time, and I'm an advocate of putting it on the calendar, making it a calendar appointment for you. Treat it like a standing meeting with yourself, but protect that time so that you can sit down and reflect. And whether that's answering journaling prompts that you have, reviewing the journals that you've had time to write throughout the week, just to help you remember what has gone on for that week, or even processing coaching questions that you ask yourself. You have to have make it a ritual. Do something that will help you think back on what happened to help you move forward in the future. So my advice to leaders is take time to reflect.
Love that. And I was going to ask you follow-up questions, but you already included how we need to do it and when we need to do it. So thank you. Set that alarm, put it in your planner. And she gave you several options, leaders, journaling, whether you already have a set of questions, if you're already in a program or you have a mentor or a guide, answering these questions. And I agree. Self-reflection, not at work, just in your life at the end of the day, everything. And you're correct because it gives you a moment to go back and replay and be like, ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, tomorrow I need to. Because there have been times, even as a teacher, I was like, you know what, tomorrow I need to apologize to that girl because I had a smart mouth. And that's not what I want to teach them. And I would do it publicly because I tried to embarrass her publicly. And so when they would come in, I would say, hey, y'all, yesterday, and I would look at that student. Hey, yesterday I was thinking about it and I apologize because you asked the question and I tried to be sarcastic and it was not the time. And I am the and I need to get together. And anybody know when you apologize to a middle schooler, they be like,
Right.
am I getting pranked? They be looking around.
You're right.
Serious, and I was like, and you don't have to accept my apology now, but I hope you do later
Wow.
on. A lot of times, like, oh, I stepped in, and I'll be like, okay, and I'm working on me. I'm working on me, okay,
I love that.
and that's part of reflection. So that's great, and that I think that ties back into the culture and climate. Like you
Yeah.
are saying, what do I need to do, or go check on Miss Gordon because she was over there being sarcastic with them kids again. Like whatever you need to do. All right, we're getting to my favorite two parts in the show. I'm gonna put the ticker down here. There it is. It's coming. this or that, and you know
Oh,
you can. So you can go. Okay, that's all I can say before they
okay.
ban me. But I'm gonna ask a question. It's gonna be this or that. As educators, I know we like to say both. I'm okay with that also. If
Okay.
it's both, and I've already learned that as educators we like to give an explanation, and I'm okay with that too.
Okay.
This is my show, and I know who I'm speaking with. So here we go. So rapid fire, this or that. Traditional classroom or hybrid learning hub.
Traditional classroom
Standardized test or portfolio.
portfolios.
Textbooks or TikTok tutorials.
Top tutorial.
All right, STEM or STEAM.
Theme with the double A to include athletics, art, and technology, engineering, arts, athletics, and mathematics.
Okay, y'all. And this is why we do this because I'm adding that because I do believe in athletics. Help me stay on the honor roll. Because if you weren't on the honor roll, you got kicked out chili squad.
Right.
Okay, Shia. I love that. Okay, I'm gonna add that. Behavior charts or restorative circles.
Restorative circle
Mentorship or coaching.
coaching. I am a coach at heart.
That's why you put athletics in there. Global projects or local impact.
God. I might have to go with both on that one.
Okay,
I have to go with both on that one because I think both of those are important.
they are. Morning person or you a night out?
Absolutely morning.
Audiobooks or podcasts?
Podcasts all day.
And sweats and sneakers or blazers and loafers?
Sweat and sneakers.
Yes, I love it. Okay. So now I already know because I read your background and I was stalking you. But this is a moment where I take time out and we shout out if you went to an HBCU or HBCUs, or if you remember the D9, this is your opportunity to shout them out any way you want to.
That I love that. So yes, I am a graduate of two HBCUs. My bachelor's degree is from Winston-Salem State University. Winston-Salem, Carolina, go Rams! Absolutely. And then I got my doctorate degree from Howard University. Yes, shout out to Howard. And I pledged Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated at Winston-Salem State University Gamma Phi chapter, April 10th, 1990, coming up on 35 years in my illustrious sorority. So shout out to university.
So I always tell people, listen to me carefully. We, Dr. Sharon and I, we can joke and laugh at each other about HBCUs, but if you didn't attend, you just listen to the conversation. Okay. All right. Also with the D9, same thing. And please don't come to me so because people were in my on my comments the other day about why you join, mind your business. Don't worry about why I join stuff. Yeah, you can just read people's stuff on social media and keep scrolling. You don't have to be commenting. Because I love my DST sisters, and we always know we're always about the community and about the families, and we're about that work. So we don't just get the letters and our numbers and our line name.
Yeah.
Before we were online, we were in the community and we were about our academics. And then afterwards, so just stay over there if you don't like it. It's okay. You're glad you're Greek because blacks aren't Greek. So you trying to tell me it was no Greek? Okay, don't see because now you're gonna make the historian in me come out.
Right.
And I'll make you mad, and then I don't walk away. Shout out to Winston-Salem State University. My niece started there. Um, we went down, girl. We set up the whole room, everything.
Oh my
She
goodness.
just transferred to another college. That's okay. She went back to Virginia.
Okay.
They know Auntie is gonna support wherever you go because your job is to get a degree.
That's it.
Even if you don't pledge a sorority fraternity, and if you want to do grad chapter, I did. I was at Hampton and they were on break. And they came back and I was a senior. I was like, I got a graduate. I love y'all.
Right.
So then we did our shout out. And so this is how we end. We do what I call the doors are open.
Okay.
And so I'm a good old girl. Y'all know I went to Little Shallow Baptist Church in Emporia, Virginia on Otterdam Road. And Jared, it really wasn't Emporia.
Wow.
Virginia on Otterdam Road. Dr. Porter is our guest pastor, so we have already prayed. We have already taken collection. We did not need to close the doors. We are good to go. And she is going to give us our parting words so we can be encouraged for the rest of the week. And anywhere you want, if you want to sing, you want to rap, you want to do a poem, you want to do a quote, you need to stand up and step it out. If you want to do a line dance, whatever you need to do.
My God.
You get encouraged. But before you do that, please share how we can connect with you, how we can listen to your podcast. What is your podcast? And how we can hire you to come in to do some leadership training with whether they're the principals of the district or whether they're the teachers in the district. How do we contact you for all of that?
Love it. And so, yes, I am on X and Instagram at I am Dr. Sharon, and that's IAMDRSHARON. LinkedIn is my jam. That's where I am mostly. And so you can connect with me there with my full name, Sharon Porter, Hargro. I'm on Blue Sky at Dr. Sharon H. Porter. So you can also connect me there. Or you can just find everything that I do on Linktree under Sharon H. Porter. So that's how you connect with me.
Yes. All right. And so you can end it anyway, and then we will be done for our podcast. Y'all, this is the first episode. Pew, pew, pew. Tonight.
Love it. I love it. And so I'm going to, I guess, talk about what I talked about first about leadership, because leadership truly is the heart of what I do, leadership development. I work with aspiring leaders. And I'm just going to leave you with leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So go out and lead.
Love that. Nothing more, nothing less. Go out and lead. My name is Benita G. I'm the host of the Education Concierge. You have on here with us our first guest for season 9, Dr. Sharon Porter, who is truly a leader at heart. Find her, subscribe to her podcast. Also, it is amazing. I love it. And I do listen to it. And look, welcome to the family, Dr. Porter. The next time you come, you go into the kitchen, fix your own plate.
Thank you for that.
You're so welcome. All right, y'all. See y'all later.